Hi, I'm Helena Irene Mikaelsen from Imperial, and you are now watching Liveprog by Moselle.
Welcome to Liveprog. In this video review I have a party for you, or rather a feast. Annihilator's feast. Absolutely, time for a bit of metal, a bit of old school thrash metal with Annihilator. Their 14th studio album is out, it's called Feast, and it rocks. Well, it doesn't rock, it'll hit you like a ton of bricks, because this album is thrash metal with a capital T. Absolutely. Looking back at the history, I mean, this band is going strong for almost 25 years. Well, a little bit longer if you consider that Jeff Waters started in 1984, but it took him a couple of years before the first Annihilator album was out. Alice in Hell was released in 1989. So we fast forward to this, and we are almost 25 years further in the future. And this band is still doing what they do best, make kick-ass music. When I listen to this album, I don't hear any signs of old age. I don't see any signs of rust with these guys, because they rock as hard as they did back then. And that is truly amazing, and I have a lot of respect for the band that made this album, Annihilator. I discovered Annihilator in my high school days when I was listening to their second album, Never Never Land, and I still love that album to date. But something I noticed, and if you look at the albums that followed, is that Annihilator is absolutely a thrash metal band, but at the same time they are not afraid to try something different, to mix some completely different kind of song in their music, or completely different kind of elements. Sometimes it's crazy, sometimes it's a little bit cheesy, but always a lot of fun with these guys, and that's the vibe I knew, and that's the vibe I see in this album as well. Because when this album opens, the first track, Deadlock, is pure thrash metal. It hits you hard, it hits you heavy, but listen to the guitar work. So tight and so awesome. And that is, you know, Jeff Waters is absolutely one of the best guitar players in the world. But the strange thing is, and I was talking about this with a friend, if you have these polls or these lists listing all the best guitar players in the world, you hardly see Jeff Waters listed. I really don't know why, because he deserves to be in there, he deserves to be at the top, because he is one of the best guitar players, and he has so far 14 albums to prove that, and countless live shows. Now, all the ingredients that I would expect in an Annihilator album are present in this one as well. As I mentioned, the first track opens hard-hitting thrash metal, but the second track already shows a different influence. The thrash metal is mixed with a more melodic heavy metal, and that is something they do throughout the album, and that makes it so amazing for me, because Jeff Waters is a very versatile guitar player. And when I was looking at the lineup for this album, I also noticed that there's a difference between the studio lineup and the tour lineup. The tour lineup has 4 guys: Jeff Waters on guitars and some vocals, Dave Padden on vocals and some guitars, Alberto Campuzani on bass, and Mike Harshaw on drums. But on the album, only Alberto Campuzani is not present, because Jeff Waters plays all the guitars and all the bass on this album. Dave Padden does the vocals and Mike Harshaw does the drums.
Turned on the television, what did I see? A selfish, evil psychopath, back in eyes looking at me. On trial, fight for your life, one big waste of time. Shot to the head, slice, throats, stab in the back, the crime. Testified, crucified.
Again, you know, seeing how versatile this guy is, I'm really even more impressed about this album, because the riffs are tight, but the solos are tight and so melodic and so heavy, and it's, you know, it's a feast, really a feast. You know, if you've seen the cover, it's probably the most scary cover I show in my reviews ever. And I saw the previous cover from the Annihilator album, which was released in 2010, which was simply called Annihilator. And I saw that, wow, spooky cover, you know, wouldn't get any spookier than this. And then And then I saw this one and I thought, well, okay, they can top it, you know. Cool artwork also on the inside of the booklet. The artwork is done by a guy whose name I can't pronounce, so you'll see that name right here. And you can check out his website. He's done a lot of artwork for Annihilator and for a lot of other bands, so that's pretty cool. Let's go back to the music, because we have 9 tracks and there is so much to enjoy on this album. And there are a couple of really cool surprises. The thrash metal and the melodic heavy metal mixture blend goes throughout the entire album. But coming up to track number 4, we have a big surprise. And again, keep in mind that Jeff Waters also does the bass. No Surrender is like, wow, what is this? Completely different. Funky, very funky bass work, but also the vocals are a lot different than what you hear in the previous songs. A very awesome track. A lot of people will shout, you know, Red Hot Chili Peppers. I would more say infectious grooves, you know, that kind of funky metal vibe they have going on as well, and that is really cool to find it in this track as well. One guest on this album, and it's not a surprise, Jeff Waters worked with guest singers in the past as well on the album Metal. He had a couple of singers lined up. Here we have fellow Canadian singer Danko Jones singing the track Wrapped. He also wrote the lyrics for that, so that gives the song a different feel because he has a different voice from Dave Patton. And now we're talking about Dave Patton, the vocalist. I mean, it's really cool if you look at the history. You know, Annihilator had a lot of lineup changes over the years, but at a certain point Dave Patton joined the band and he stuck with the band. And since 2007 he's been more or less a permanent member of Annihilator, and that combination works very well with him and Jeff. While he doing the vocals, Jeff doing the guitars, and of course in the live situation Dave doing also guitars. And again, he sings fantastic on this album. I really love it. He, you know, a song like Deadlock, he nails it absolutely, but also a couple of other tracks. And then we come to one of the other big surprises, although if you really know Annihilator, it won't be a surprise for you, because you know that is the kind of things that Jeff Waters does. Perfect Angel Eyes is a ballad, you know, there's not a trace of metal in there. It is in fact a very beautiful song, very melodic guitar play. Nevertheless, although it's a ballad, it's not a love song. I mean, listen to the lyrics, and the same goes for the entire album. If you read the lyrics and understand what the album deals with, it deals with a lot of feelings, a lot of emotions. Smear Campaign is a good example of very, you know, feelings of frustration about being treated very badly by people. But also Perfect Angel Eyes, you know, there are feelings of loss and of aggression in this album. And, you know, Dave really finds a way to vocalize those feelings. And at the same time also in the music, you really can feel these feelings and these emotions. So
You're beautiful inside and outside too. A new beginning, me and you. But the darkness that you see through your perfect angel eyes.
Now, it's not just, you know, we put the foot on the throttle and we just keep on riffing throughout the entire album. Absolutely not. There's a lot of melody in Annihilator albums. I guess that's one of the reasons why I love this band so much. And of course, one of the things why I respect this band for is, as I mentioned, you know, almost 25 years since Alice in Hell, and they still play thrash metal. They haven't made any changes in their music to gain a wider audience or you know, become more poppy. No, they stuck with their sound. And I respect them for that, because there are a lot of bands that haven't done that. They, well, maybe sold out or, you know, went commercial a little bit more. That's all okay, I mean, it's their choice, but I respect a band like this who sticks with what they do and what they do best. And as I said, no signs of old age here, absolutely not. The beautiful guitar melodies come back in a few other songs as well. Fight the World and One Falls to Rise, the last two songs of the album, they open these really almost soft, beautiful melodic guitar parts, and then, you know, after a few minutes, you know, they go in with the thrash metal again, and I really love that. And then, you know, they mix it up and they change things, and it's just a very enjoyable album that way, because they have a lot to offer, and that is pretty cool. As I mentioned, the artwork, I looked at the website of their label, UDR, and the cool thing is, you know, there's a lot to do about downloading and stuff, and I noticed that this album is offered at the label site for a very fair price, and you know, for 16 euros you buy the limited edition, you get an extra disc where they revisit their older songs, you know, the greatest songs from the beginning, from Alice in Hell up to, well, their latest album. They have been re-recording it, so you have Dave Patton on vocals, but especially for those who are not familiar with Annihilator, it is a nice chance to, you know, get to know a little bit of the history of the band, because, well, maybe some of the albums are not available anymore. And especially albums like Alice in Hell and Never Never Land are definitely worth to have in your collection, even if you're not a full metalhead. I mean, I'm not a full metalhead, but I love this band, absolutely. It's also available on vinyl, which is also very cool. Then you have this picture really big, so you know, it's cool to hang in your wall. See the reactions of the people who visit. I'm digressing a little bit. Anyway, I definitely recommend this album, and if you have a chance, they're on tour. If you ever have a chance to see them, you know, I mean, they're now on tour, but by the time you see this video review, they might be gone already. Maybe in the next time, keep an eye on them, because I think this is a true and honest metal band that makes fantastic music, makes great albums, and deserves a lot more recognition and a lot more support. So check them out. Feast by Annihilator.